So today I'm going to show you how to shape the brim on a brand new hat that is flat. So first, when you get them, they're kind of bent, all goofy. You can certainly spend some time to get that wire straight before you start. In reality, it's really not that aggressive, so you can go to it. So what I recommend first, before you go to the brim, obviously start with your crown and get that accurate, because that'll kind of be our center line for the front. The other thing is get it to fit properly as well. So when you're doing this for yourself and you're checking to see level, or whether it's symmetrical or not, it needs to fit you well, or the person that you are doing it for. So the first thing I do is establish the front corners of the hat. So where I want to do those. These are totally up to you. I go pretty wide with my hats, somewhere between 11 inches and 12 inches. And so I'll just start with that. So what I'm going to do is just get the wire started, and then we'll work on the side. So I heat this only because the wire is wrapped with straw and the lacquer. We're trying to warm up the lacquer, not necessarily the straw. The lacquer is what heats up and gets malleable and then hardens to stay in shape. So straws are really nice to shape when you're first starting because you can really use that wire to help you. They certainly can be hard to shape too if you do that wire incorrectly, but this is what I do. I set it down flat, I look at my center line. Okay, sometimes it's helpful to use a pencil and put that on there, but I try to put my thumbs down on the crown and then run my fingers out, and that's where I'm going to start mine. So I'm just going to kind of give it a light pull here, and all I'm worried about is bending right here on this brim. Okay, so that's what I do first. You can take a look right at that. It bent everything up all crazy. But this is where I decide when I look at it, does that look pretty even to me or not? This is also not too late to make it wider and not too late to make it more narrow. And just as a frame of reference, sometimes I'll take the hat that I'm wearing and set it down to see if it's somewhere in the same ballpark, or I can set it down on top of it, look straight down the hat. Another simple way to do that is a tape measure. Okay, so if you're gonna try to get some continuity in your hats, always have your other hat there to try to get it close. So I'm gonna call that good enough for me. So now you can see there's a lot of bubbling in this. What I like to address first before I get too picky is to get these sides to relax. So everything's kind of pointed up and crazy right now. It's because the wire is basically trying to pull it up. So I'm going to release some of that tension on the wire by releasing the side. So I'm just going to work one side at a time. I feel like this is pretty even. I could go to a mirror and double check that, but I trust myself. So I'm going to heat this side of the brim. I keep this moving pretty quick. You'll see for the most part, I keep heat on the top side of the hat, not the bottom. That's basically because I need it to bend there and stay up versus wanting to stay down. If you use heat on the bottom side, it tends to want to wilt the hat. Now, when you're doing something aggressive, you might need heat on both sides. So you'll see me on that top side a little bit more. Okay, so this is where I get to decide. If I want this to be really upright, I would start my hands closer to the crown. If I want it to look more flat, I would stay further out. So I'm gonna go kind of in the middle, and I'm gonna start my hands in the middle, drag it out to that corner I have, and just slowly start to bend that up. Now with these, if you bend too hard and too fast, it will, in theory, break. It doesn't break in half, but it'll crack fibers. And so you have to be pretty good at going just enough to get it to do something, but not so far that it cracks. Heat's gonna help you have a little more grace there. So I got this side up a little bit. What I do to one side, I'm gonna do to the other. Okay, same thing goes. More towards the outside. I'm gonna bend it up, finish my hand in this corner, and then just try to go the same distance with this hand, and that will keep it pretty symmetrical. Okay, so I work that a few times, just like that. Okay, so you can see just kind of how symmetrical they are. It's not great, but it's somewhat symmetrical. Okay, so now I get to decide, where I go next. So what I like to do is once I have the sides kind of started, I try to get this front a little bit more correct, and then I will start the process of putting a little bit of a dip in there. Okay, and that'll kind of help bring everything together front to back. So I'm going to fix this wire by heating everything around it. You can go to the board at this time and try to, pull your fingers out and do that. That kind of helps, but what I like to do is put the crown of my chest and just work my thumb and pointer finger, inch them together slowly. Okay, come back out, do that same thing again. Trying not to break or crack anything, mostly just get this wire to be flat or maybe down, okay? See that? Just like that. So I can see that the middle still wants to be too far down, so I can take my hands and push it up, okay? A lot of times with straws, I really try to over-evaluate the symmetry in them because you can do such a distinct stuff with them because of the wire. I try to really make sure that I am symmetrical. Okay, so sometimes, in my opinion, it takes me longer to shape a straw than a felt just because I'm a little bit more particular. So I addressed a little bit of the front issue. Now I'm coming back to the sides. Okay, you'll see me use my stomach a lot. Okay, it's looking pretty good. So for most people, these sides are going to be pretty, far down and wide, so they'd want that brought up more. The way to do that is to get more aggressive here, or to take the hat and start to put a pretty good dip in there. So I'm going to put a little bit of one in there. We'll leave it kind of a little bit unshaped just so I can kind of make some more decisions on it. I really try to be slow and careful with these because you kind of get one shot at doing a good job. You can come back and fix a few things, but you don't want to take anything too fast or too hard. So I'm going to go to the board here and put a little bit of a dip in this, okay, just like so. And you can really crank it, but I just kind of go light. Okay, when I feel it cool off, then I'll come back to the front. And this is when I would start to address the wire a little bit more. Okay, so this wire's still wanting to be pretty hectic, so I will fix that and then show you a nice way to finish off the back, and that'll be a good place to quit on this hat for now. Okay, so I'm going to get this wire nice. So as I go, I'm really just trying to make sure it looks nice and flat. Trying to take some of that bubble out of there. It's not too bad. So right there, it has the illusion of still tipping down, so if you want that to look more up, you can work it up. I try to get it a little bit down and over time maybe bring it back up. So as you can see there, the wire is definitely more correct, certainly can be picked on. So now I can decide more up with the sides, more down. Nothing is really tattooed or put in there hard. So I'm just going to address the back first since I haven't even gone there and see what that does to the sides. I like mine to be a little bit more up than that, so I'm going to just address that. So I'm going to heat this section right here, and then we'll check it out. So make sure I get plenty of heat, and because I'm going to kind of move this quite a bit, I'm going to put it on both sides. Okay, and so I like to do this one symmetrically, as symmetrical as possible. So I'll hold it down. I'm going to put my hands on the outside, and just really honestly, I'm just worried about that wire. So I'm just going to pull my hands down and try to get that wire to bend right here in the middle. If I go really hard, you could probably break it. If I don't go hard enough, this is kind of a waste of time. So that really didn't bring it up a ton. So you can do that same process again, or here's the other way that I like to do it. I like to put my hand in the very back, and I'm going to work this hat back to front, trying to bend that back wire up. It's not moving a ton, but this is why it's smart to go nice and slow. I could certainly go back to the heat for this process, but with what I'm doing, it's not going to really hurt much, so you can kind of go back and forth, hold your hand in the very back, and work this hat forward. See what we get there. I'm going to put it back down, try to pull it together. I'll take a peek here. So there's definitely a few spots in this hat that can be brought up more, a little bit more attention to detail on some of the wire, but that's the basics. You start with the corners, and then you work the sides up to a desirable level of height, and then you go to the back and try to bring it together. Over time, you'll get better and better and quicker at learning on how to do this, and your symmetry just kind of comes naturally as long as you treat this hat as one piece all together and work every side. So if you like this video and want to see more videos just like this, please like and subscribe to the Startup Cowboy channel.